Hello everyone, welcome to a combined lecture for IoT and applied IoT. This for IoT, this would be lecture number 8, and for applied IoT, this would be lecture number 7. The main purpose or the thought process of having this is in the past few lectures, whatever I explained about, it could be about the sensors, it could be about the actuators, it could be about the networking, it would be about the devices, it would be about could be about the systems itself and the IoT applications in both of the in both of the courses, whether it is IoT and applied IoT. I felt like there should be a visual understanding of why we use IoT. What is the why do we learn about IoT? How IoT is applied in in real life. So to do that, this lecture would be for both IoT course and the applied IoT course, uh, because for IoT people who are studying IoT, for the students who are studying IoT, I want you to go through this content, look at this content, and understand the end product and where IoT can itself can be applied. The industrial users, as well as for things like smart homes, right? How you can build a how the thought process goes through in creating these things. While looking at these devices, IoT devices, think about the sensors, think about the actuators which are needed. For applied IoT, we mostly talk about how these applications takes place. We mostly talk about industrial use of IoT, and we talk about the marketplaces and how these things are divided into. So, but end of the day, for the students who are learning applied IoT, they should also know how IoT works in the real world. What are the examples of IoT in the real world? Rather than me explaining, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a set of videos that I have posted in below, right below this video. I recommend everyone to go through each and every video one by one and try to understand real world applications of IoT, how IoT works, right? In the past lectures, I talked about devices, I talked about applications of IoT. This is something extra beyond the syllabus itself, right? This lecture is something extra beyond the syllabus. This is just to take a visual idea and to take an idea of the environment, the IoT environment, the real world of IoT that we are working with. Okay, saying that, we will go and try to understand what are the videos that are there. The first topic that would be covered, right? Predictive maintenance using IoT, right? The first example is a ABB example, which they talk about a ABB sensor which have the ability to measure power, vibration, and temperature of a machine, whether it's a motor or a pump, a valve, anything, right? So they will show that this is a separate unit which comes which is not attached to the main unit, so it would be a extra attachment. And legacy systems, that means legacy systems also are able to use this sensor because this would come as an external attachment. It's very important to know what are the features that they are checking, what are the sensors that they are using to check those features, right? How they obtain and how will it the help the user of that machinery to carry out predictive maintenance, right? In industries, IoT can be used mainly for predictive maintenance. In applied IoT, we talked about M2M, we talked about OT, we talked about how in M2M machine speaks to other machines, right? And there are legacy systems which are there for machines to work. So while we were talking that, we talked about how M2M is now merged as a part of IoT. So these, you will see motors and things like that working with IoT sensor attachments, making it making the whole system IoT device. So for applied IoT, I won't I look at it in that particular manner, how they have introduced IoT to refine the process, as we were talking about. For IoT students, I look at this, what are the sensors they are using, how this is being applied, right? If we are to build such a sensor, how to go through, think through that process. For the same predictive maintenance, right? For there will be so we will be looking at this particular sensor. This is what we will be looking at, right? Then after that, there will be another predictive sensor similar to the ABB one. This is the ABB one. This is from a startup, Infinity Uptime. So they call their product VH. This is not the networking VH. This is a product itself, similar to the ABB product, right? How they look at vibrations, temperature, and acoustics, so on and so forth. In motors, pumps, fans, right? Gearboxes, generators, right? And they from the data which is being collected, right, the collected data will be compared with existing sets of data to see imbalances, right, going through their own equations to understand what devices are having which kinds of problems, right? So as you can see, this mainly predictive maintenance would come under industrial applications for manufacturing plants, right? Then staying on the same topic of IoT in the industrial environment, right? For prediction of vibration, so we talked about we are going to check vibrations of the machines and so on and so on. So in machines, that what are the sensors that can be used? The next in the next video below these two videos, right, you will be seeing it will be looking into what are the sensors that can be used to detect vibration. This video will be more towards the technical side. IoT students, I hope IoT students can get this video and look into similar videos, because it will show how a sensor would work, right? And for IoT students, this is much more important, and this would give an understanding of how predictive to carry out predictive maintenance when building sensors, how the vibration is measured through sensors. And if you go through the content, the sensors that are being used in this would be um, surprising. So I highly recommend to go through this video, especially for the IoT course. Applied IoT should also go through this to get an idea of how these sensors and the measurements works. So for the prediction of strain in machines, what are the sensors that can be used? That would be the second one that will be seen in this particular video. So all these videos that all these videos that I'm showing here will be available on your will be available below. When I say below, after this particular lecture video, you will find a set of videos that will have those videos are these videos which are in this PPT. These are just screenshots. So I'm just going to, what I'm going to do in this lecture, I'm going to quickly go through the content which I have posted below, so that after so you guys can go through that content and try to take a visual understanding of applications of IoT in different sectors. So then you will know if you are to work in the industry of IoT, OT, M2M, or in automation itself, industrial automation itself, you would know what what is expected from you as an engineer. Okay, so those two will be followed up by what are the types of pressure sensors and their applications in IoT. This is also a technical video, and I would highly recommend this to IoT course students. Applied IoT course students could also go through this for having a basic understanding. These videos will give a practical understanding of how these sensors would work. On top of it, right, we are talking here about pressure, we are talking about vibration and strain. So only I'm not going to tell about the names of the sensors which are being used, so it is up to you to go through the content and understand. But here, to detect these properties, the vibration, strain on a material, or pressure, and how these sensors are applied, right, there are special ways of applying. There are equations and stuff that would or predictions that can be made, or data points that is needed to be checked with to get the results out. So but the set of sensors we are talking about here is limited. So I would recommend for IoT students, if also applied IoT students are interested, check videos and contents for other sensors, how they function and how they work. Because in the IoT course itself, right, we don't in the syllabus we don't go deep to understand those particular points. We would if you are to do your masters towards IoT, if you are to go forward with your IoT research or something like that, it is better to have an understanding of how these sensors work. And videos like this, right, you can use videos like this for your help. And also you can refer written material as well. Then again, now we come back to application of IoTs, right? Those two videos above are more towards how sensors are working. We will be talking about IoT in logistics, right? We will be looking at a sensor right? A sensor unit. A sensor unit would or a IoT device which is called the GPT-29, and you can this unit is an external unit, and it can be attached to any delivery vehicle. It could be a lorry, it could be a truck, it could be a van, depending on the logistical requirement. This device can be attached, and the device um, has the ability to sense this particular set of properties: temperature, tilt, drop, light, door openings, motion sensors, shock sensors, vibration sensors, humidity sensors, geolocation. Now when I go through these types of sensors, you should be now able to recall the examples that we were talking about in our lectures, especially IoT students. Applied IoT students have to look at this in a as an entire device, and these are the properties of the device and how this device is applied for logistics. In the world of logistics, if you go through that video, you will see how such a device can be applied in the world of logistics, how that would be used for the person who is handling the logistics, the person who's receiving the logistics, how this would be giving. And you have to so we were going through value adding for the last lecture, right? You can also think about how value will be added, right? So things like that you have to think about the overall application of this IoT device. For IoT students, it's more towards what are the sensors that are being used to calculate these numbers, and if we are to make such a device, is right, we went through a set of sensors. So what sensor is needed to check what, right? Um, we talked about light sensors, we talked about tilt, if you remember, we talked about gyroscopes, so that means we can check the tilt. We talked about temperature, right? Humidity. We Here it's a vibration sensor. You can quickly go up to this video and see how the vibration is being checked, right? See if that can be applied here, right? Those things have to be checked through. So the other after that part of logistics, we will go to IoT applications in logistics in warehouses. Here the example, this video is a great example on how Amazon handles it. They are automated systems, right? In this picture you will see the robots moving the goods around in the warehouse. In this video there will be more examples such as robotic arms and things like that, which is used for warehouse logistics to make things easier. And when coming into IoT solutions in logistics, this video is a highly recommended video. This is a warehouse in London where the whole system is automated, right? If you see the boxes, if you go through this video in this right, you will see the railings. In between the railings there are spaces, so below those spaces are the containers or shopping bags, and these robots will move around and collect goods and pack them to every like they will sort it out, right? So they will talk about few sensors that they are using to navigate without collision. They are talking about how this is being automated and so on and so forth. It would be very interesting to look at the actuators which are being used in these devices, so on and so forth. That would be to IoT. Then if you are to look at applied IoT side of it, right, automation of warehouses, right, can it be done? This is a good example. Is it practical? What is the value of it? Why it was this is originated, right? Those things are also been discussed. So to understand, this video will actually show IoT as a solution for automation, and this will show IoT in full action. You see the networking, you see the small antennas, you then they will talk about the sensors which are being used, and you will see how the whole warehouse, which is humongous, being automated. Eh, so that this is a good example of IoT in full action. From logistics, we will go for IoT in vehicle parking solutions. So this is something that is visible in Sri Lanka, right? Mostly recognizing how many slots are available for the vehicles to park, using image recognition to check the number plates, and checking how long the car was there and charging it, so on and so forth. And there are several other important things which have been discussed on this video. So I choose this video because generally several properties of IoT is being discussed on this, and how the networking is used, like how it connects to the internet to obtain data, is also being discussed on this. So so application of IoT in parking areas, right? There are many examples. This talks about most of the properties. So this video will be a good example for understanding. Then this is a very short clip of Elon Musk talking about the use of sensors in their Tesla X, this door, right? He's talking about how they have to design a sensor, custom made sensor just for this door to open without crashing into a person or the next any object which is next to it. So that, I think that particular part is very interesting. Plus this would give an idea of using, now in when we are talking about IoT, we talk about sensors, right? When we talk about the perception layer. So I think this would be a good example of using sensors in devices and in vehicles. This would be mostly going towards IoT students, right, to understand the use of sensors. For applied IoT also, well, I think you have also before learned about IoT, so this would be also will be very interesting how they have to create, right, create a sensor from the beginning. This IoT visual monitoring solutions, which is being provided by DJI, right? Very This is a very much interesting solution, right? This will give the ability to monitor services which are very remote, right? And it is all automated. So especially when coming into applied IoT, go through this video. There are several videos like this which is been released by DJI as solutions. Look how these applications add value to a business. especially if the business is working in a large area like solar panels, like wind farms, or transmission lines which have to go through forests, maybe through the deserts, maybe through in the winter in mountain areas, very hard to reach areas, and how this automation adds value to the business. When coming into purely IoT side of it, right? Think about the sensors which are being used. Think about the sensors and actuators used in the drone. Think about the sensors and actuators which are being used in the storage section. The processing power, the where's the energy or the power, the electricity is coming from. Think about what are the things that the sensors are trying to figure out. Is it raining, is it windy? We can see that there's a sensor to check whether it's windy. So these things also go through your mind. For applied IoT, this is one of the best examples to show value addition to a process, making a process much more better and effective, right? So then after that, uh, I introduced this on it on IoT cloud solutions, Azure. I think for both the classes, I have told that all cloud-based services, main services provide IoT solutions in the cloud platform. Google, AWS, from Microsoft, it's Azure. So this video is mostly towards that data analytics, storage, security, so on and so on. So all your IoT devices or the IoT system or the IoT application that you are going to use, end of the day, IoT means you have to be connected to the internet, and when you are connected to the internet, you are one way or another connected to a cloud. You can use the resources in the cloud to make your system better and life easier to maintain the system. So I didn't put videos of every cloud-based IoT solution out there, but if you take uh, uh, not only Azure, Google, uh, AWS, Cisco, even Arduino has a cloud of their own. If you go through, Oracle has their own IoT cloud. So if you go through any cloud platform or provides a cloud as a service, right? um, Cloud, if there's a company which provides cloud services as a service, or cloud products as a service, you will find a dedicated IoT section. So in that case, right, I put only this as an example, right? You can go through the video and see what are the features that are there, what they provide, right? What is important, like what are the overall ability that they give, right? For example, here you can see storage, here you can see Power BI to see either information in real time or to process data and get information out either in graph form, so on and so visually, to get an idea on what from about the data which is being produced from these sensors. We have edge computing, uh, so um, so we have edge computing as well as networking ability inside, which is being given. um, Streaming analytics, okay, Power BI to process, they have streaming analytics for real time, so on and so forth. So they give different solutions, and for IoT as well as that, like if you take Azure Cosmos DB, that is something that is there on Azure, but this we can utilize that on IoT as well. So things like that. uh, it, we won't be going much into cloud-based technology in our IoT course. So I'm putting this here for you to understand that this is also there. So when you are making a IoT device in the future, right, it's not only about the device, it's not only about the networking, it should be connected to the internet. That means cloud platforms are there as well. If you go to the next video, it would be about factory automation and IoT, right? There will be several automation examples which will be shown in this. And I think we have gone through another. The next video would have BMW car manufacturing and a great video of automation of manufacturing. So to get an overall understanding of how IoT itself works, how these machines talk to each other, right? To get if for applied IoT, how to get an idea about M to M, right? How this machine talks to that machine, to get an idea about what are the sensors being used, what are how efficient it is, right? Is this a value adding solution or not? To understand all these, right, in for IoT and applied IoT, this would be a great example. Siemens will also in the next video will be a manufacturing automation video for Siemens and the solutions they provide, followed up by agriculture, how IoT is used in agriculture. You can, in this picture I took this screenshot just to show that example we were talking about a lot is the weather, and you can see such a IoT unit or devices or a set of devices which are there to measure the weather conditions. In this video and couple of these videos, in this couple of these videos, you will see how IoT devices are used for agricultural purposes, right? To automate agriculture. And so uh, for applied IoT, you have to look at the efficiency, how the value is added, how these technologies applied into agriculture helps to increase the productivity, the crop yield, and so on and so forth. For IoT students, you should more concentrate on how the sensors, the actuators work, and overall technology which is being used by these devices. So IoT agriculture video 2 is similar. It will give examples. This would give examples on mining, right? This is a dashboard which is being used to track different devices. So to track mining vehicles which are on the minefield. So this gives a basic example of not a open mine, not a cave which goes inside the ground, but it's an open mine, and how in an open mine IoT can be used to for automation and keeping track of everything. That video will be followed up by IoT smart home solutions. There will be two videos of that, or there will be several videos of this, right? Different smart home solutions. We went through all of them, right? So for IoT students and applied IoT students, right? I'm not going to go through examples. I'm just expect you to go through the videos that I have provided, right, and get an idea of IoT, right? So sensors in cars, right? This would be also a good video for IoT students, and this would be a self-driven car. This video is also good for IoT students to check the sensors and everything, but also for applied IoT, because this is a application, a real world application which is taking place right now, right? You can look at the advantages and disadvantages, and you can see how these are. This will help the IoT and the growth of IoT. So this is still emerging. This is not used. This is an emerging technology. So you will see that in this field there's growth. So each student, according to your field, have to look at it according to your way, right? So then healthcare IoT and smart. So for healthcare IoT, I have this video on smartwatch and how its sensors works, right? It sensors works on how the heartbeat, the pressure, things like that, circulation, breathing, and everything is being detected through these sensors, how they are being calculated. So I'm not going to take more time, right? I want this, as I told you, this is a extra bit beyond the syllabuses itself. My goal of this set of videos that I'm putting here is for you to understand the wide area that IoT covers, right? The wide, to have an idea of what is IoT and what it is doing, to have an idea about application of IoT for a single person, single use, for a home, for a industry, for a building, for a vehicle, or for a domain, and so on and so forth, right? So to understand all these and practically see and understand the examples and what we were talking about earlier, that is my that is what I want to relay about. Videos of all, not all videos are about the examples we talked in our lectures before, but um, I just wanted to give a visual idea of what is IoT and how it is being applied around the world. So so the videos will be after this down. You will go, if you go through the lecture content, right? There will be, I will put the videos below this one. Please go through them and try to understand what is IoT and IoT is applied, right? We will we will get back to our syllabus and we will talk about our syllabus from the next. So in this, my expectation is that the examples we talked about, right, the examples we talked about of the applications, because for the IoT students we still haven't started making prototyping, and for applied IoT students, we mostly talk about the applications in real world, how IoT works. So visually looking at how the applications work and understanding them is necessary. So rather than looking at pictures, rather than listening to what I'm saying and trying to understand it, I want you to see it for your eyes and learn about it. And also something I highly recommend is self study. So not don't limit yourself for these particular set of videos. Try to understand about the IoT environment, because you can use uh, even things like ChatGPT to understand about IoT and the future, because the technology changes from day to day. If you take your syllabus today, the syllabus is not right in the next. It will be not enough to capture all the technologies which are there right now, because the syllabus is made few years ago. So therefore it is very important, not only for IoT, for any subject in technologies, in the technology side, you should be getting updated at least every 6 months to see what's new, what is the latest update. So I think my intention is clear. So I expect you all will go through these videos below and try to understand how IoT works in real world. Thank you everyone.